used to honor the goddess Frigga, or Freya is another name for that. And back in the 14th century, the king said, oh, if you hold your festival on this day, bad things will happen. So they held their festival. The people of the land held their festival, and they went in and had a massacre, but they saved people so they could go out and say, oh, these bad things happened on Friday the 13th. And it was also a day where it was the end of, it was like a massacre with the Knights Templar as well. So it was originally a boon day, a day of honoring the goddess of fertility and beauty and creativity and love. And it got switched around because of religion. So those who have an adverse thinking to Friday the 13th, just do it as an honoring. I have for many years honored the Knights Templar who were arrested and persecuted on this day. And I think it was 2004, I think, the Pope absolved all of the Knights Templar that were persecuted in that time, absolved them as not enough evidence or hearsay or whatever. So it turned out that it was not true. So a good day, bad day, but day of honoring, and Friday the 13th. There you go.
Thanks for sharing that, Gail. That's very interesting to know.
Okay, so I did this webinar, the last webinar we did in 2016, and as you can see, you have my screen. It's my screen and my computer, and hallelujah, we finally figured out the little glitch. And it was a simple thing that took about 3 seconds to show, and now I can you can see my screen as I'm walking through. So I tweaked this a little bit because I really still think it's important for us to not just at the first of the year, but whenever you feel like your life is a little sluggish or in the muckety-muck, it is a good time to assess yourself and see what's not working in your life and make changes. And so this protocol helps you do that. And because we are in a new year, it's a perfect opportunity to begin reprogramming ourselves and assess ourselves what's not working. So we get to gift ourselves because we have this technology. I mean, we are so blessed that we have the quantum infinity, and we have the essential oils, and we have our brains, and we have our hearts, which are the best technology and the most powerful technique or technology or substance that is around is our heart and our mind, when we're working our mind through our heart in unconditional love for the greatest good. That's the most powerful power there is in this universe. And we get to work that through the quantum infinity. So also when I'm working, I always like to ask for grace and ease, that our healing and our transformation be swift, yet it be graceful and it be with ease. There was a long period of time where we had to heal with pain and suffering, and that's no longer the case. And we have the technology here with the quantum infinity and the essential oils to tap into those hidden emotions that have burdened us and that block us from achieving our divine I am selves and our divine all that is. And we can tap into those old emotions that are locked into our DNA, that are locked into our cellular structure, into our mindset, into our heart, into our essence. And we can shift those with grace and ease because the power of frequency of the oils, of quantum and unconditional love can move anything with the right intent. So this is, again, a better you in 2017, and we will begin. I will scroll up here, so this makes it really easy that I can scroll in. So using your quantum infinity, and with this, I borrowed the information from Carolyn Main. She's a chiropractor who wrote a wonderful book called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. And I took her information and put it into a working custom library that we're going to work through. And I'll have to tell you that the one program, the one section where it's referencing the emotions, it took me almost 20 hours to put all this information in on one section. So, having said that, if you have the book, go for it, and you can create your own custom library. And then if you want, then you can always email me, and we will we can get those Dropbox to you. Okay, so back to the program today. So I'm going to ask that you be thinking about the traits and the issues that no longer serve you. And I'm going to ask now, before we get started in this, that go ahead and send in one or two, or I'll just say one because there's several people on the line. Send in an aspect of yourself that you wish to get rid of or to transmute, and then send something that's positive, something that you would like to reinforce. And if you do that now, Karen will be able to tell me, and I'll type it in when we get to that section. Okay. So building this custom library, I like to create my libraries, as you can see here in the name as the first name. I put all my custom libraries capital A, capital A, capital A. And what that does is pops all the custom libraries up to the top. So I can access my custom libraries and not have to go through all my patients to do that. So in the first name for this custom library, you're going to put capital A, capital A, capital A, better. The last name will be UN17. And I'm going to change today's date. Oh, maybe I can't. That's when I created it. Okay. So if you're just creating this, then put in today's date. So, oh yeah, almost 30 days. 28 days ago we did this. Okay. Identifying characteristics for my greatest good. And you can put whatever you want. You can add that. For me, because we're healing and we're transmuting ourselves, I like to put for my greatest good. Or you can put for your highest good. And there is in our panel, let's see, FTHG, which stands for the highest good. Okay. Okay, so in Analyze Client Image, you can take your picture and put that in here. So in the spectrum voice analysis, I'm going to I'm going to speak in a positive statement. And so as you can see here in the written, I have written a statement. So this is what I'm going to say in the time of my, oops, let me move that Oh, out of the way. Let me see. Well, let me put that down here. Okay, there we go. Okay. So my phrase that I'm going to record is, I give myself permission to effectively change the traits that keep me from achieving bliss. Or you can put achieving my goals. Whatever you like, you work it, whatever works for you, because this is your healing, but this is what we wrote. And it's very powerful for you to give yourself permission and have that frequency of you giving yourself permission to change going through the whole process when you're doing a balancing. So here we'll go. We'll tap on that. So, oh, here I go again. I'm so sorry. I have to remember to tap my iPad. Okay, there we go. And record. I give myself permission to effectively change the traits that keep me from achieving my bliss. Okay, and the scan is done. And we will tap done at the top. And now we will do start. And no to the quantum avatar. Yes to the positive. Let's see. I'm going to put again, I'm just going to say, I do these and think as I'm going, for my greatest good. Okay. So let's scan, begin, and we will scan. And for me, I like to start with the aura picture. So it gives you an understanding of where you are, and then we come back and we'll take another scan of the aura and see how we have shifted. And for those that are new on a webinar with me, this is the only thing that I share with people, is the aura picture. So here you can see there's nice green here, so I've got some good healing going on. So I'm actually doing pretty good in that area. If this is muddy, it lets you know that there's some issues in the lower chakra region. There's some lightness, there's unconditional love coming in, a little on the purple and the violet. This nice rose is the unconditional love of the heart. So this is actually a pretty good screen starting out with. Most of the time, the colors will be muted or they'll be very pale. And for me, I like to have more vibrant colors that lets me know the shift. And I like to have a good vibrant color here on the bottom. Okay, so let me go back to that, and I'm going to screen save that. And you screen save or snapshot it by pressing the on-off button at the top right-hand corner and the home button on the bottom in the middle. And now you save that. And this is what, and you can see up here in the top, email. So this is what I email to my client, so they see where they were in the beginning and they see where they are when I finish. And that's all I send them, because it keeps me out of the realm of the AMA saying that I'm diagnosing or I'm treating and all of that. So I just send energy pictures. Okay. So I'm going to go in now. So we're going to, we got to tap on this one, tap on the pinwheel. And I'm going to say yes to adding an item because we will be adding items in later. Okay. And I'm going to better you in 17. Okay. So here are my categories for this, this particular protocol and library. So these categories, you can't scan all of these categories. You can scan what's here behind the categories. So this is a good place where I put all the questions that are here on this list. So what traits in your personality would you like to discard? Did you get anything for that, Karen?
Let me just take a look at the questions quick. Okay. Jennifer has a question. Hi, Jennifer. I want to get rid of brain fog and get rid of any success blockages.
Okay, so I'm going to say clearing brain fog and blocks for success. Sound good?
Yeah. Great. Thank you for that, Jennifer. Thank you, Gail.
Okay, and then here we just tap. Because I enter things already, 0001, it's already recorded. So if you just tap on it, you come up with the little dialog box, paste, tap, paste, tap, paste. There we go. One more time. There we go. Okay. So this in your traits, you could customize every time you do this. You can add to it, keep what's in there, and that way, once you clear it, if you pull it again when you're checking yourself later on in the future, and that pops up, maybe you brought that back in, you revisited those issues, so it would be a good time to clear them. So I like to keep all the issues that I put in my custom library and not discard them, because that way it just gives you a little bit of monitoring on how you're doing. So here you can highlight, and you're going to go back. Well, let's see, before I do that, what? Show category. Before I do that, I want to go into what traits, there we go, in your personality would you like to improve? Do you have anything for that, Karen?
No, Jennifer, would you like to add something to that?
Well, you know, with the time that it would take her to type and then you repeat it, we'll just, you saw how I do it, and we'll just go with what I have here. So here, being appropriately assertive, confidence, more confidence, that I'm highly motivated, I know my why. And this is a really big thing. And it's kind of become a buzz phrase with promoters and in the business world. Know your why, define your why. It's really important to start off and know why you're doing what you're doing. So take some time to figure out what that is and write it down and revisit it every once in a while, because your why will change, but it gives you something to focus on. If you just say something broad like, I want to be happy, what does that mean? So break it down so that it's specific, and the universe can then bring those opportunities to you that help you achieve your why. So know your why, and speaking my truth and stay focused on my vision. Okay, so I'm going to highlight both of those. And now we're going to go back, and you see here that they are in my category for me to scan. And this can actually be quite nice. If you're feeling a little blue or a little down, sluggish, put yourself on and do this. And with what you have written in your custom library already, or something that comes to you, add it in. This can shift your energy really fast. So for me, this is so appropriate. I'm telling on myself. I have a tendency, or I can say in the past, I've had a tendency to overextend myself. And last year, I overextended myself a lot, and I am relearning how to take a step, and before I commit to say, oh, sure, I can do that, I'll say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. So as you can see, I put overextending myself into the multi-layer because that is something that I would like to shift. And also stay focused on my vision, because when you overextend yourself, you're making other people's vision and goals more important than yours. There's a balance when you can help somebody achieve their goal, gives you success. But when it's a win-win, keeping everything a win-win is really, really important. It's the balance. So take care that when you go through this new year, that you stay focused on your vision. And there are times that you're going to sidestep and say, okay, I'm going to give you X amount of hours to move through. You need some help and I can jump in. But take care that you don't let other people's visions and goals and wants to pull you off of your goal, your vision, and out of your time, because then you end up feeling slighted and not having the time to get done, or you pass your window of opportunity and then you're frustrated with yourself because you spent more time helping somebody else and you didn't take care of yourself. So it's a balance, it's a win-win. And in the Bible too, it says, fill yourself. My grandma used to say, fill yourself first, because if your basket is empty, and your vessel is empty, you have nothing to give anyone else. So make sure it's a win-win situation. Okay. And so speaking my truth, again, I'm telling on myself. So I'm known for being very opinionated, but I'm also known for not wanting to create waves or embarrass people. So I tend to hold my tongue and just allow people to be less than respectful. So part of my stepping into my 2017 and stepping back into my balanced I am creating that balance where I speak my truth, and you don't have to speak it nasty, but just speak your truth. And sometimes people don't want to hear your truth, but most of the time I find that other people don't hold back speaking how they feel, and there's a balance. Sometimes you weigh the options. Is it worth sharing my truth or just knowing it, or is it time that I stand my ground and say, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. So speaking my truth is being put in there.
That is so important. Thank you for mentioning that, Gayle.
You're welcome. And I find that a lot with spiritual minded people because they spend so much time trying to be focused and trying to be balanced and reflecting the love that we have in our hearts and being in that centered place. But sometimes the power and the balance comes from standing your ground and speaking up. Um, I'll share a quick little lesson that I had with my sister many, many years ago. And um, she, I there was an issue that we were having, and it just kept coming up, coming up, coming up, and I kept staying calm, staying calm, staying calm. And I finally got mad about it, and I spoke it with some force. And she looked at me and she said, "Wow, you're really upset about that." I said, "I've been telling you that for years." And she laughed and she said, "I'm sorry, I thought you were just PMSing." So I could have saved myself a lot of grief had I just spoken up, before when it started happening. But because I wasn't reacting and I wasn't honoring myself, we had that lesson that kept going. And thank goodness when I spoke my truth and I spoke up, she started laughing, and then it was a done deal, and it doesn't happen anymore. So it's important to keep your balance and speak your truth and this know when it is appropriate to speak your truth, when it is appropriate just to know it. That's called discernment.
And it's a great way to clear it too, isn't it? You know, to clear what comes out with that person. Once it's cleared, it's gone.
Absolutely. And then you can always come back, and if that happens to you, you can come back and add it into your custom library and do a quick little scan. Okay, so I'm going to take those off. So what actions do you require to shift yourself? Oh, and that one's blank. So what actions do you need to what actions do you need to move forward? I'm sorry, I got a little distracted. The lawn guy's here with the leaf blower, so I hope you don't hear that in the background.
And we have construction going on out front too. So. But I can't hear yours. Hopefully nobody can hear what's going on here.
Okay. So I'm going to say here, again, being assertive. Okay, so I'm going to show you something here too, since I discovered this. So I only put into, say that you decide that later on you look back and you go, oh, I only have two and I would like to have more. You just hit this plus sign, blue plus sign over here, and then you can add in more. There's the third one, there's the fourth, there's the fifth. See how nice that is? Keep things balanced. Okay, being assertive, taking action. I'm just going to do one for time's sake here today. And being grateful. So you can go back in and really customize this and put in what it is for you, or if you're doing this with a client or a patient, what steps do they need to take or do you need to take to achieve your goals? Being organized, taking time to get organized and to stay up on your paperwork could be another thing. I hear a lot of people doing that. Oh, can't go with you this weekend because I have to get all my tax stuff together. That's coming up. Okay. I know that laugh. I don't know why it's coming out today.
I think
Okay.
we all really resonate with that one, huh? With the taxes.
Okay, so moving on. So this one here is what's behind this. This is a very, very powerful tool, so you can see whether this is a core issue, whether it's perceived, which means that you've created it, or your brain assessed a situation and perceived it in a certain way, and then you took that perception as truth. Is this a real issue, or is it one that is imaginary or is misread? Is it a trigger? Is it acquired through my life's experiences? Is it a conscious issue? Subconscious? Is it unconscious? And a lot of times when we have those triggers, they are on an unconscious level. We just react because it's what we've done. And you can change those unconscious shiftings by bringing them to your conscious mind and working with the quantum infinity and working with the essential oils. And is it inherited in my DNA? So oftentimes when you say, I don't know where I got this from, or you can look at your children and say, why do they feel that way? Look at yourself, look at their father or mother, look at the parents, and look at the grandparents, because oftentimes emotional issues and mental traits that are locked in the DNA, they skip a generation. So go back to the grandparents and see if there is anything there. And if there is, good news is you can change it and shift it out, transmute it with the quantum infinity and the essential oils. And then I have my section that I like to call same scene, different play. And that's where you keep recreating the same situation in your life. It's different circumstances, but it's the same theme. It's different people, and you just keep reliving the same thing. So if you hear yourself say, why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? Look to see what is the core issue there. So with this, what is behind your traits, the personality traits that you would like to discard, or what's keeping you from being in the personality traits that you want to improve, this is a good place that you can find, and you can tap on this. We're going to go back and see what it is. And here again, we see that in the scanned customized panel box. You can scan to give you a little bit of insight. And sometimes people, I will say to my clients, an emotion will come up and they'll say, nope, I don't have that at all. And I'll say, is there anything that you've had, any interaction you've had with family, with acquaintances, anything that has, where you can, find my words here, where you can relate to? And they'll say, no, and then maybe an hour after they leave my office, or 2-3 days later, they'll come up, they'll give me a call and they'll say, oh my gosh, I had a fight with my sister-in-law 3 years ago, and that's exactly what I was feeling, and I've never let it go. So it does tell you, so this is a trigger, and this is also an unconscious issue. So this is where the quantum infinity and your essential oils really come in handy, because you can move through those unconscious issues. Okay, so when you have an issue that comes up, let's see.
There's another one here, if you want to put this one in, Gayle, from Carol. Hi, Carol. Do you want to use this one, Gayle?
Yes.
Okay, so Carol says, hi, first time doing this and using my app. So sorry if I'm doing it wrong. God bless you. I know it takes a while, but once you get the hang of it, you'll love it. A thing I want to shift is my old anger and What I would like is to replace it with compassion.
Yes. Okay. So things to discard. I'm going to put that in here. Replace old anger with compassion. I'm going to continue forgiveness and gratitude. And I put gratitude in there because that issue took place for you to receive a lesson, to show you where you have something to heal, something that you're ignoring. So being grateful is in my life, my most traumatic experiences gave me great lessons and great foundations. So once I healed myself in those issues, then I'm able to heal other people with their issues. Okay, and I have to apologize. I'm reading my notes and I got something out of line here. So in this with Carolyn Mace, if you see here, the AAA emotional references, I'm going to go back out of this custom library and I'm going to click on this custom library. And as you can see here in her book, there's 15 pages of emotions. It's far more extensive than the emotional panel in the Quantum Infinity. So because you can't scan all these categories, I started with AA all emotions at the top, which then has all the emotions here, A through Z, all the emotions. Now with this, I can scan these emotions and see they're here now in the customized panel, and I'm able to scan these. So I'll move this before we put it on. I guess this is why I wasn't able to send it to you. You couldn't open it up because I have to change this. So what actions are required and what is behind it needs to come behind scanning for your emotional references. So I left that one out. So, and my guy is right under my window with his blower. Okay.
I can hear it now. Owls have taken a break. At least we don't have it going on both there and here.
So I'm going to say with me taking, I work with the highs and the lows. So the closest to zero lets you know that this is a long-term issue or something that's happened in childhood. So you can see here that adrenal exhaustion is 11. So I'm going to just put that in because if you don't have the energy and your adrenals aren't balanced, then you don't have the energy, you can't think right, and you just don't feel like changing anything, and you can't get motivated if your adrenals are in the basement. So arrogance, wow, that's never come up for me, but okay, so I guess I have to put that in there. Okay, crushed. Okay, so there's an emotion that can be put in, and if you've been wounded, if your heart's been wounded, your feelings have been hurt, that's what that means, crushed. Your dreams got, the rug got pulled out from underneath you. Let me see what other red is in there. Injustice and not fair. Oh, that kind of goes with arrogance. Oh. terror. Okay, so here I don't know where terror would come from, because I really work with just knowing options, but because that came up, there's a lot going on, and the world is in a state of terror. Our United States, I wouldn't say half, part of the country is terrified of what our soon-to-be president-elect will take the country. The other side is rejoicing, and and then there's the terror of the fear of the terrorists, and they've stepped up their issues. There's terror of being left behind and not moving into ascension. So I'm going to put that in and put that into the multi-layer, but I'm going to go back now to open up the emotional reference panel, and this is the one that took me 20 hours. So in this list, we can now tap on this list and we can scan and get a little more detail. So let's see, terror, arrogance. Okay, let's go with arrogance. Okay, so here's arrogance. So see unknown. Okay, so if you can see here, these little letters on the side, instead of scrolling through everything, you can just tap on the little U and it takes you right down to unknown. So unknown, fear of the unknown. Okay, we're going to tap on that. So the flip side, the other side, this is where Carolyn Main's work comes in. When she comes up with an emotion, she gives you the other side of that emotion, a way out. So a way out of being in that negative emotion, where the alarm point is in your body, and what essential oil moves you and shifts you out of that unknowing and that arrogance. So I'm going to highlight unknowing. It's going to be in the scan. And I'm going to go to T, and let's put in terror. I'm going to highlight terror. Let's see. Was the other one adrenal exhaustion? Yep, so I'm going to highlight that. So there's all the emotions, and behind all of this now will be, you can see the terror, the unknown, and the adrenal exhaustion. Now we're going to scan. So I apologize for not doing this first, but once you have this emotional reference panel done and you know where you're going, this is where you can say what actions are required to move through this and what is behind this, whether it's a core issue, a trigger, or what. So adrenals, so the adrenals are a little on the low side. Surrender. Surrender is the way out. Surrendering how you think, the approach that you've been that you've been using. The peritoneum is the alarm point. I can put that in. And that's around the peritoneum. That has to do with the peritoneum insulates the organs. And let's see, safety. I'm going to add that one in. That's a little bit on the high side. And in the unknown, listening to your heart. And that goes back to what we said earlier. Listening to your heart and knowing when it is to speak to. Now I'm going to put in the pineal as the alarm point. and put in Sacred Mountain and Sandalwood. Now, sandalwood is one that I use almost every day. I use sandalwood, frankincense, and myrrh on my face. Every day I combine those oils. So after I shower, it's the first thing I do is I anoint my face, and then I put it on my face. It helps with my skin tone. And I also anoint my crown chakra, my throat chakra, my heart. I go down my chakras and just do that little anointing. That's my daily routine. So now that you have these issues, and we've looked at what the actions are required and what is behind, you can also go into the emotional panel if you want to get a little more in depth, and you can go into that as well. But here is a nice program or a nice section that I like in the Better You is the first time I experienced this. This is a very powerful category because when you're working with something that's subconscious, in your unconscious, and even if you're consciously aware but you don't know where you got something, this helps you figure out, it kind of narrows it down, and you can use it in two ways. It can either be the age, like if you pull 1, then you would ask yourself, or ask your client, what happened when you were 1? And these are really good for those low numbers, because then you know it's a deep-seated, it's been around for a long time. So this kind of lets you know to ask that question, what happened when you were 1? And if 10 to 15 years came up, what happened during the time you were 10 to 15 years of age? And if it's in an acute number, where it's a high number, then you can ask, what happened a year ago? Did anything significant happen? Did you experience any trauma or loss? What happened that was emotionally affected you or mentally affected you a year ago or 10 to 15 years ago? So this is a very powerful tool, and you can scan this as well. Go back. And it really helps you move in. I was dealing with a patient a few years back that had some emotional issues, and he was a very strong, confident, and powerful, successful businessman, but he had these emotional issues. And so I did this scan on him, and it came up that something happened at the age of 12. So I asked him what happened at the age of 12, and he looked at me and he said, well, nothing. And then he sat for a moment and he said, oh my gosh, we were at an army base in his father was in the army, and it was a trial where they brought the families in to the country, and they were in a secured place, but the kid was outside playing in the yard, and his father came home, and he walked out to say hello to his son, and there were terrorists crawling over the wall of the backyard that were about to take out the boy, and the father was armed, and he shot the terrorist, and that young 12-year-old experienced that, the fear, the trauma, the sadness that was very traumatic, and he blocked it out. He kind of knew that that happened, and when people would talk about it, they would just say the incident. But when I asked him what happened when you were 12, and he was in the process of having this the frequencies being run through his body, and the emotions and the neural net being triggered, he allowed himself to revisit that traumatic experience, and we were able to flush it with essential oils and the frequency of unconditional love and forgiveness and move that through, because he kept self-sabotaging himself. Even though he was successful, he had to work very hard, and his relationships, his relationship with his father and with his son were not well, because there were perceptions and issues that were going on. So within a few moments, playing the frequency and having this acknowledgement come, he may not have had that recognition had I not scanned and asked what happened when you were 12. As you can see here, I also included the birth process, birth to 5 years, the conception to birth, days. You could be days old, hours old, minutes old, months, weeks. So I included these because I also worked with a child, a young boy who was having issues with his father, that found his truth and his courage, and he said to his father, "You never wanted me," and he repeated this conversation that this gentleman said in a response when he heard that his wife was pregnant. She was working 2 jobs. He was in law school, and they were and pregnancy and bringing a child in was not in their plans yet. And he made a statement that was just out of the shock of it, but then was elated that he was having a child, and the son was his world, but the son held on to the words that were spoken when this boy was just weeks old in the womb. And he recited that conversation verbatim, and his parents dropped their jaws because they could not believe that that conversation had only happened once at that time. So it's really powerful too, that this actually takes you back into things that you heard and took on and owned while you were in the womb. So that's powerful.
Thank you, Gail.
You're welcome. And I'm so glad that you jump in every once in a while. When I stop talking and I take a breath. Okay.
I'm so excited to read your book. And then also, Annette mentioned, can we get a comprehensive list of all the emotions? And I'd like to let everyone know that Gail has created a customized panel. She's based on Caroline Main's book. So I don't know if you want to mention that now, Gail, or at the end of the webinar.
Oh, we can do, since it's up, we can say. So Karen and I came up with the price of $125 for the panel, and you can email Karen. My Gail at Keys to Ascension, I'm having a glitch with, so I'm not getting those emails. So if you would email Karen at Quantum Life, and then she can forward the emails to me at the moment. So interested in getting that, and then we can just Dropbox it right into your iPad for you. So okay, so going back, let me just scan here. Okay, so as you can see that in the multi-layer, we have quite a few things in the multi-layer. So you can scan now. I'm going to let me just put 2 minutes on here. So you can scan now and start the balancing, or you can go into more detail. Here would be a good place that you could go into checking the chakras. And let's see. I'm going to have to reread this because this is kind of out of, it might be out of order. I'll reread this.
Okay.
Before I send it. I think I've already done this, but
I just want to mention that, just remind everyone how long it took you to create the panel. This panel based on Caroline Main's work, and the $125 is well worth this, to purchase this panel, because it's such a powerful panel. Did you include any of the Young Living oils in there, Gail?
Yes, in that section, in this panel, the emotional references, remember in, this will stop in a moment. Remember when we scanned those and we highlighted the individual emotions, it had the other side of the emotion that came up the way through. It had the essential oil and it had the alarm point of the body.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
So say if the alarm point was stomach. If you wanted to get into more detail, then you could go into the meridians and the body systems and scan that and put in those meridians. So you're focusing on that. And it could be that somebody has stomach issues and they're really emotional issues. And they could have emotional issues that are also manifesting in their stomach. And so it's a way that you can balance. And in that way, you can go into, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to. So if you go into meridians, I did it again. If you go into meridians, and oh, Jimmy, I just lost my point of thought. So you can put in the whole, you can work the whole body. I'm sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. But I'm going to go ahead and scan that. Having a head cold, sorry, I apologize, having a head cold and coming through this is kind of affected me a little bit, so I apologize.
And I know last week you were very sick, and a lot of people actually were very sick. And I was speaking with Annette, and Annette's on the webinar today, and we were speaking about the chemtrails. So I think we need to create some heavy-duty customized panels to do with the chemtrails.
They are really chemtrailing, heavy chemtrailing. So
yeah, we could throw the oils in that too, huh?
Absolutely. So you can see here with the meridians that the small intestines deals with insecurity and sadness, conception vessel, the pericardium, and it even gives you time. So if you find that you are, if you get weak or you get that nappy time between 1 and 3 p.m., it's a good indication that your small intestines might need a little boost of energy. So, all right. So I think if I scan down here, okay, so I was talking about going into more detail, and so you can go in at this point and you can get more layered in, whether it's the body or if it is phobias. You can go into sensitivities. This panel is pretty equipped and pretty full on its own, and you can really get a solid shift of your energy and your thought process. And by the end of an hour, your person or yourself, if you're working on a client, or yourself, you really do get a shift of energy without getting too detailed. But you can follow if your person's not shifting. So say if you've been working with somebody and they've gone down to maybe the teens, maybe say 16, and they're holding in that 16, then there's an issue that you're not addressing. So you can either scan and go into the Da Vinci screen, or you can go into a section with positive and negative thoughts. So, I know I'm jumping around here for you. I'm so sorry. This flowed really well last night when we did it. Okay.
Send it to you all. Gail's going to create a PDF, and then we'll send the recording of this webinar along with the PDF with the instructions here. So you all have that.
So I'm going to show you here real quick too, if you wanted to add a positive thought or to deal with thoughts. So I have a section, I call it placebo thoughts, and you don't have to, you can word it however you want, but because thoughts have a placebo effect, and by putting in the negative thought, that is fueling a situation, or if you're constantly worrying or constantly running a thought process through your head, you can put them in your negative thoughts, and then you can also combat it by putting in your positive thoughts. And this would be a place too that you can add your thoughts and the issues that are going on in your mind, and put in your negative thoughts, and always come back with a positive thought that would counterbalance it. So here you can go into your thoughts and scan those thought processes. And just running the thought processes, because that's like a homeopathic. The frequency of a positive thought, canceling out a negative thought and putting in a positive thought to reinforce it as you're balancing an emotion. Okay, here we go. What's the point? This time experienced. Okay, positive thoughts. I know I can overcome all obstacles. That's a really good one. I'm going to throw that in here. So that one is a very powerful phrase. That in itself can shift somebody's energy and their mindset just by running this frequency through them. A lot of people are talking about finances, so money comes easily and abundantly. I like this one. People love my services and love paying me.
Oh, that's a great one, yeah.
So now you can add those positive thoughts and those negative thoughts to balance out. And oftentimes this will shift. I have a young man I'm working with, and I listen to what he's saying as he's telling me what's going on and what's wrong with his life. And while he's talking, I'm entering in the positive and the negative thoughts. I'm entering his thought process. So then once he stops talking, then I scan those and I put those into the multi-layer, and then I find the emotion that balances that the way through, and the essential oils, and I put those up into the balance RX at the top, and I use that as a filter. And so I will run him while he's in my office, and it changes him, it shifts him right out of that fear mode and his overwhelm, and he's able to get centered and focused. And it's really nice. He'll just call me up and he'll say, "Do you have a few minutes?" And I know that he's in overwhelm, and he'll come to the office and he'll sit down, and I just do this section on him.
Oh.
And then he's able to move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so while this is processing out, you can also go into the essential oil panel and um, and complement anything that you are doing. And now I can say, you know, really, if you're not on Mindwise and the Ninja Red, those two things are so powerful. They're high antioxidants. The Mindwise, anybody who's having brain fog or having a little depression or they're unmotivated, um, using the taking the Mindwise, it tastes good. It has your essential um, fatty acids that feed the brain, your omegas that feed the brain and the glia brain. It has essential oils in it, and it has the wolfberry and the Ninja Red that really stimulates the brain, and it takes you out of that brain fog very quickly. I start my day every day with 2 ounces of Mindwise, and if I find that I'm taxed in the afternoon, I'll take 2 ounces in the afternoon. But every morning I start with Mindwise. And with the excessive Alzheimer's that we're experiencing and the severe brain fog and uh, so many people are on medications that are making them numb. Mindwise is really good to put in and balance you out. So I I like to start every day. I really suggest if you're not on Young Living's Mindwise, really look to put it into your day, into your routine. So that pretty much is the session. I know we're running over. I'm sorry. Are there any questions? So while you're doing that, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to rescan the aura.
Does anybody have any last questions for Gayle?
Yeah, there we go. Oh, look at all that blue and communication. So I actually have more color.
Beautiful.
And then again, I would screenshot, and this is what I would send. So the blue lets me know that there's a lot of communication going on in the body. My cells are talking. And again, I like to continue the process of the balancing until you hit the 528 hertz frequency. If you don't reach that, get them as high as possible. Even if they have a 10% increase, they've got benefit. And then if you do this process every day on yourself or as often as possible, it really will help you shift uh, your energies and help you achieve your goals in 2017.
Thank you, Gayle.
You're welcome.
Wow, that was very uplifting. I think we all needed that.
It was packed full.
And everything's quieting down now. I hear it's quiet your end, and here too. All the construction has stopped here. Just as we're
Okay.
about to end.
So I will pass it over to you. Anyone who's interested in downloading the panel, Carolyn May's panel, and this one, give me a jingle or email Karen, and she will send those on to me, and we will get them over to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, thanks, Gayle.
Thank you very much, and I'm so thrilled that you got to see my screen.
Me too, we did it. Oh, I can't wait to use this panel. This is going to be such a powerful panel. Um, there is another message here from Carol. Hi, Gail. Thank you. Great, but I am a beginner and a bit confused. You talk about taking 2 ounces of the Mindwise. Is this physically taking this or balancing the equivalent of 2 ounces using the panel?
Oh, that's very good. I physically take 2 ounces every morning, because that really helps with my brain and my brain fog. It's like having a cup of coffee or espresso without having your coffee. It For those who don't drink coffee or you're trying to get off coffee, this is really good for you. Um, and because my aunt has Alzheimer's and dementia, um, I am safeguarding to ensure that my brain is healthy. And I had a brain injury, and the MindWise came out shortly after I had my brain injury, and I contribute a lot. The spiral breath helped me get my brain function back, the quantum infinity, my prayer work, my breath work, and the essential oils and the MindWise was such a big factor. So you can run the frequency through with the quantum, which you will get a benefit for a short while, but physically taking the MindWise, ordering it, and becoming a distributor. And if you're not a distributor, contact us, and we'll get you signed up. And when you do sign up as a new distributor with Karen or myself, then we gift you the Young Living panel for free.
Yeah, and that's a great panel. And that took a long time to create too. It took you about 3 days.
It took me 3 days to collect all of the samples, yes, and then it took me a couple days to enter them all in.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you all for joining us this morning. Beautiful webinar, Gail. Thank you.
Thank you. And all just hug and loves, and I appreciate you all for being on the webinar and the call, and just many, many blessings and great love for you in this new year.
Thank you. All have a lovely, peaceful, relaxing weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Take
care. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.